It's one of the things that we can discuss within this entire topic for tonight. Someone said earlier, Jamalman, I believe it was you, that said that World of Warcraft should go back to fast and easy patches. You know, so every 3 months, 4 months, a new patch, not every 9 months to 11 months, which, by the way, is definitely not what they fucking want, right? It's definitely not Blizzard's plan to go to 9-11 month patch cycles. They're just behind. It's as simple as that. Shadowlands has more problems than what they can actually fix, and they're trying to delay the patch as much as possible to the point where they can fix at least some of the problems and hopefully get some of the players back, because it's been losing players. Players have been leaving. And I realize a lot of this might be anecdotal. We do have some actual evidence that World of Warcraft has lost players. About 2.5 months ago, we had the story that came out, around 60% of the World of Warcraft subscription base have unsubscribed from the game, which a lot of people said, oh, that's normal, that's how video games work. Not quite. I mean, it's not supposed to be normal, right? Now, on the whole thing about patch cycles and how patch cycles are presented within World of Warcraft, I actually do not agree with Blizzard's philosophy around every 3 to 4 months there's a new patch. Because most of those patches, the only time this has worked was in Legion, when they spent the last year of Warlords of Draenor making patches for Legion. So they were ahead, right? Whenever patch 7.1 came out, they were already working on patch 7.2 or even 7.3 at that point, right? So they were ahead of the developing schedule. This is the only way that they can make it work, is if they're ahead and they can sort of put a lot of effort into it. It didn't work in BFA, and it's not working in Shadowlands now. I also, and this might make me very unpopular with a lot of people, and I want to know from you, chat, how many of you agree with this? I do not believe that we should get a new expansion every 2 years. I don't think Blizzard should put themselves in that box. I think that box, the 2 years, the 2-year expansion box, is the thing that's killing the game faster than anything else. Jenna, no. I would actually be okay with a new expansion every 3-4 years. I would argue that an expansion should be maintained as long as necessary until the next expansion is ready, and nothing should ever be rushed. The expansion should be so good. The expansions should be so good that you don't care about a new expansion. You're not getting tired of the content that you're doing, because all the content that is in the game, that's being put into the game, is fun and you enjoy going through it. You love getting into the leveling process, getting into the world exploration, doing dungeons, doing raids. Blizzard should bring back the one boss raids. I don't see why we're not getting it back. Like, why is Blizzard so hell-bent on massive dungeons and massive raids? Why not bring back the raids that had 2 or 3 bosses in them, right? Bring dungeons that only has 3 bosses in it. Things that people can do that's just fun, it's enjoyable, and people can really just spend their time playing the game that they want. Rather than this endless sort of fucking... this endless treadmill where it's just new content, new content, new content. The problem is, when's the last time that World of Warcraft actually had any new content? World of Warcraft's current business model exists around expansion releases. You can look at their charts. Every time a new expansion launches, Blizzard makes more money than they make any other time throughout those expansions. So Blizzard needs expansions in order to remain profitable. If you remove expansions from World of Warcraft, there is no money in World of Warcraft, because this is what World of Warcraft does. It's dead, dead, dead. New expansion, fucking way up, right? And then 3 months later, dead, 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 right up until the end, just before the next expansion goes, and then pop, right back up. They're making a bit of money. 3 months later, dead, 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 dead. So it goes from, it literally is like a heart rate monitor. It just goes up once every 2 years. It pops up to go, oh, I'm still alive, I'm still alive, I'm dead, I'm dead. I'm alive, I'm dead. The problem with that business model is it does not incentivize you to actually make expansions good. Because you're no longer focusing on trying to get players to play the game and also stick with the game. You would make so much more money if you could get 10 million people to play the game every month and not get tired of it. Right? Because there's always something new. It's so amazing to explore. The gameplay loops itself is very, very interesting and very exciting. That's how you make a good World of Warcraft game. The current model that Blizzard follows is one that basically they rely on these heart rate monitors to just sort of tick up and give them a big cash influx. The problem with that model is it's not going to be sustainable. How long before players start going, I'm not going to come back? How long before the next heart rate, the beat that you need, is half of what it was before? Because players just sort of go, yeah, I've heard all of these promises before, I'm done. Yeah, I'm not even going to waste my time. I can tell you now, I have a bunch of friends that hasn't bought a single World of Warcraft expansion since Legion. They bought Legion, they came back for about 2 months, stopped playing, they've not bought BFA, and they haven't bought Shadowlands, and their reasoning is, it's boring. There's no point. Blizzard keeps promising shit and it keeps getting just fucking boring. It's just more boredom. I'm not coming back. You lose enough players and eventually World of Warcraft is just no longer getting people back into the game. So here's what I think World of Warcraft should be doing. This is how I think you fix World of Warcraft. First and foremost, Blizzard needs to realize. Let me ask you guys this question. I asked it last week. I see there's a bunch of new faces in here, so I'll ask it again. Is the following statement true or false? You can make World of Warcraft, or any game really, where every single person that plays it loves every single thing in the game. It's possible to do that. Is that true or false? That statement. Is that a true or false statement? Alright, since everyone believes that it's false, can someone then explain to me why Blizzard keeps making the game for everyone? Can someone explain this to me? If every one of us, the plebs that don't make video games for a fucking living, understand that this is how gaming works, right? Some games, some people will like, some games other people will like. You will never get a game that everyone likes, right? This is just impossible. And even in a game that people like, right? Some people will like some things in the game. Other people will like other things in the game, but not everyone is going to like everything in the game. This is just basic fucking logic, right? Here's the problem with Blizzard Entertainment. They seem to think that they just need to convince the rest of us that we love the content that they make. So what Blizzard does whenever they step into a new game is they say, okay, hold up. We're going to make World Quest 2.0, not 1.0. The World Quest this time around is very different, of course. It doesn't even feel the same as the BFA ones. So you have World Quest, we're going to make World Quest. Then we're going to make Torghast. We're also going to make Mythic, Mythic Plus. We're also going to make Dungeons. We're also going to make PvP. And we're going to have Battlegrounds and Arenas and all the rest of it, right? We're going to make all of these things. But now, right, we're going to make all of these things interact with all of the other things. So we're going to actually force people to do some of the Torghast stuff. And we're going to force people to do the World Quest stuff. And we're going to force people to do this. And we're going to force people to do that. By the end of it, even if you don't like certain things in World of Warcraft too fucking bad, you must do them. This is the most stupid way of designing a video game in the history of ever. Because you're literally taking the statement, it is impossible to make a game where everyone will love everything in your game, and you're saying, hold my fucking beer. That's literally what Blizzard is doing. Someone tells them, hey, you can't make the game so that everyone will love it. And Ian goes, hold my fucking beer. And people go, Bro, it's not working. No, they'll figure it out. Eventually, everyone will love everything that we make. The best way to protect yourself from this is to not force people into the different areas of your fucking game that they may or may not want to be in, right? Don't force your hardcore raiders and your hardcore PvPers into Torghast. There's no point. Don't force them into world quests beyond a certain point. I remember a time, and maybe I'm just old and I remember things that most people have forgotten, but I remember a time where you would do daily quests only for like the first month, maybe 2 months if you were really slow at getting to Exalted. You only ever did daily quests up until Exalted. Once you reached Exalted, there was 0 point in daily quests. Some people would still do them for the gold that they would give, because at that point it was still hard to get gold. But the vast majority of players, you got to Exalted, you were done with daily quests. You never had to touch the daily quests again. There was nothing to push you into daily quests either, because they wouldn't offer you anything outside of just being daily quests that you've already done and you already have Exalted. And once you get Exalted, the faction vendor or the reputation vendor sells you everything that it has in stock, so you no longer need to do those dailies. I remember a time where you would do your dungeons to get to max geared for dungeons, and then you would just never do dungeons again outside of maybe doing the daily heroic to get your tokens, right? That's it. That was it. That was literally it. Once you got all of your dungeon gear, you were done. I remember a time where gearing was done. I remember times where your grind actually amounted to something. You had something that you wanted to grind for, and that something could be achieved. Nowadays, it's like you can reach the end of a grind for a single patch, but never for a single expansion. Because how much do you guys want to bet? In patch 9.1, you will once again have to do world quests. World quests are not going away. You've reached renown level 40. In patch 9.1, you're getting back into world quests again. So all of the grind that you did for patch 9.0, it's unnecessary. You're doing it again in 9.1. No. Mythic Plus is a whole different system, right? Again, it's a system that should be treated on its own. I, for example, and this might be a very unpopular opinion, but I am of the opinion that Mythic Plus gear, raiding gear, and PvP gear should not mix. This is literally the belief that I have. It should be gear for Mythic Plus is gear for Mythic Plus, and this is what Mythic Plus players need. Gear for raiding is gear for raiding, and this is what raiders need. Gear for PvP is gear for PvP, and that's what PvPers need. And they don't need gear from each other. If you want to do Mythic Plus, no problem. Go do Mythic Plus. Get the gear for it and do your Mythic Plus. Maybe you want to do some raids as well. Get your gear and go do some fucking raids. If you want to do PvP as well, go. Do it. No one is stopping you. But the gear should not mix. None of it should mix. It should be completely different games because it is completely different systems and it appeals to completely different players. Right? It appeals to different people. Gear could mix in Wrath of the Lich King, but it was sadly also a different time, right? In Wrath of the Lich King, the only thing you had was PvP and PvE. Right? If you weren't PvPing and PvEing, there was nothing to do. World of Warcraft is no longer there. There's stuff for people to do. There's a lot of things for people to do. But you need to design these systems so that they're not mixed. They're not linked. None of these systems should be linked. They shouldn't be worthless, but they shouldn't be the best. So, for example, if you're a hardcore Mythic Raider, you can do Mythic Plus 10 or Mythic Plus 12 fairly easily. It's not really a problem, but if you want to push keys, this is where you want to push into proper Mythic Plus gear, because the Mythic Plus gear is going to play to the strengths of Mythic Plus, right? You're going to get gear that makes you godlike in Mythic Plus, that is going to be useless for raiding, right? In Mythic Plus gear, you're going to be able to do heroic bosses and some mythic bosses, but you won't be able to do all of the mythic raids or the final boss on mythic. For that, you would need raiding gear, because the raiding gear is going to turn you into a god inside a raid. And for PvP, the exact same thing. You can use your Mythic Plus gear or your raiding gear in PvP, and you'll be able to do some arenas, you'll be able to get some points, but you're not going to be a 2,400 Andy, right? That's not going to happen. For that, you would need PvP gear. That's how you're going to be really godlike in PvP. I don't get why Blizzard insists that this is a single game and that the game should be playable by everyone, when in reality, not everyone plays the fucking game, right? People don't play the game the same way. Why are you forcing people to play the game the same way? How would that work? What makes Mythic Plus gear or raid gear unique to them? Tier sets which activate only in that content. And you could do that, right? So you could have tier sets that only activate in specific types of content. You could even tie those tier sets to different affixes, right? So certain gear sets can counteract certain affixes, but it's only active when those affixes are available. So it really doesn't share, right? There's multiple ways of doing it. You could also just do a lower item level. So if you go with your Mythic Plus gear into a raid, the item level is always high as soon as you go into a raid. In a raid, the item level scales down because this is not raiding gear. This is Mythic Plus gear. Which would feel horrible, and that's not actually the way that I would go with it. Because whenever you play an RPG, you should never feel weaker just as a result, right? Weakness should not be the goal, but you should have things where you're stronger in certain instances because that's the content that you focus on most. Would they need 3 different impossible to get sets? No, it wouldn't be impossible to get. It would be sets that you can you can decide which sets you want, right? The problem I see with that is if you enjoy Mythic Plus and raiding, you have to grind both, which could be exhausting, but it wouldn't be a grind widget. That's the whole point. If you like the content, it's not a grind. I literally spent... How long did I play this? Hold up. I'm going to tell you guys in a second. Give me a moment. I just want to see. Give me a second. The EA beta thing takes a fucking age to log in. So I played Mass Effect. I spent about 102 hours finishing Mass Effect Legendary Edition 1, 2, and 3, right? I did that last week when I was ill and I couldn't speak. I spent 100 hours. Not a single minute of those 100 hours I would describe as a grind. Not a minute. Not a single minute of those 100 hours I would describe as a grind that I wouldn't want to do again. In fact, I'm probably going to play the game again. The only time a grind is something that you do not want to do is when the grind itself is mindless and not fun. That's the only time. Fuck, there's games that I've spent, if you look at Oxygen Not Included. In Oxygen Not Included, I've spent... how long have I played this game? 224 hours that I've played Oxygen Not Included. Not a single minute of those 224 hours I would describe as a grind. Why not? The real hell is probably not. Then again, based on what I've heard from Final Fantasy, and I'm not saying that it's true because I'm talking to so many different people that I get a lot of mixed messaging. But in Final Fantasy, it appears to be you do whatever you like doing, and if you don't want to do something, there really is no need for you to do it. I will, however, use a game that I've played before and that I actually enjoy playing, ESO. If you want to do PvP in ESO, you don't have to go into the dungeons at all. You don't have to do the raids in ESO. You can just spend all your time in what's the fucking the PvP zone called again? Citadel. You can spend all your time in Citadel and never do anything else because that's all you want to do, right? If you want to do dungeons, you can do dungeons and that's all you want to do, and you can upgrade your gear to a rather high level using professions, right? And if you want to do raids, you can do the raids and no one's going to force you to do anything else. That's just the game. Because the game caters for various people that like different things, and it doesn't force people into things that they don't necessarily want to do. As I say, with Final Fantasy XIV, outside doing the main story, you can do whatever you like. This, to me, is the one thing that World of Warcraft is missing right now. It seems like Blizzard themselves think that they sort of imagine a world, and I genuinely believe this. Ian and the team imagines a world where they can create this almost perfect MMO where every single feature is loved by every single player. The reality is that's impossible. We've just discussed this. All of you just said it's false. You can't do that. So why are they trying? Right? Hobo Steve, how you doing? I do not do Elder Scrolls lore, mainly because I've not played any of the other Elder Scrolls games. I've never been a fan of Elder Scrolls. I like Elder Scrolls Online. But as for Skyrim, Morrowind, all of those, never liked them. Mainly because at the time, like the first time I tried it, I think was Morrowind or some shit like that. And it was first person, and I fucking despise first person sword and shield games. Don't know. Just fucking no. First person games should not be sword and shield. The only thing I love anymore is the lore. I unsubbed a bit ago. Mary, how you doing? You have no idea how often I read that now. It's something that makes me worried, right? As someone who makes a living talking about World of Warcraft. Now, on Twitch, we talk about World of Warcraft and a bunch of other stuff. So Twitch doesn't really struggle, right, as much. But as someone who makes a living on YouTube in World of Warcraft, I am worried. For the first time ever, I am worried. During BFA, I wasn't worried because I wasn't losing a whole lot of subs, and I wasn't getting a shit ton of people telling me they're done with the game. There were here and there were your negative Nellies who just don't like anything that comes out, and that's fine, right? But for the most part, people were okay. People were fine. Now, suddenly, it's as if... You see, and this is actually something I warned about. Even if I quit WoW, I still watch you. I really appreciate that. Balila is even going loose with the dick in the salad metaphor. Even Balila has lost his shit. I would say Balila not so much a red herring for me. Oh, red herring. What the fuck am I talking about? Balila is not so much a canary in the coal mine for me. Because Balila is always sort of... He's like me. During BFA, I criticized BFA for a lot of things, and Balila did the same. I would say the biggest thing for me is you now have people like Towley coming out and criticizing Blizzard for Shadowlands. You have people like Taliesin that is criticizing Shadowlands. Luna, how you doing? So, the fact of the matter is, when the shills, right? When the fucking shills are criticizing the game, you know there's a problem, and I mean that with all the love in the world. I'm not actually calling them out. Vizzy, thank you so much for the tier 1 sub. Really fucking appreciate that. How you doing, Vizzy? Same, I need my lore fix, and this is the only channel I like. Mary, I really appreciate that. I drink water one time and I can't stop coughing. See, water will kill you. To be honest, I don't watch you for the lore. It's like a bonus to me, but I watch your show because of you. You know, I really appreciate that. I'm good. Welcome from my nap. How are you? Vizzy, why a nap now? Balaptica, thank you for the follow. Really fucking appreciate that. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Honestly, I gave up on Shadowlands. I've been waiting for TBC Classic, but I love the lore of Shadowlands. You see, I don't play TBC. I played TBC when it was fucking current. I have no interest in playing TBC now. You had an active day. What did you do? Andy, I don't nap. So that would be why I asked the question. I haven't taken a nap in since pre-primary school, I suppose. Maybe like early primary school may have been the last time I actually took a nap. Married to any one thought process or ideology, your speculation grows exponentially alongside your relationship with your viewers. That's why I'm here. Honestly, I really appreciate that. I just like the story and the possibilities. Back in 2010, I listened to Total Biscuit's Blue Please, and one thing he had, a segment of the illusion of choice. In 2021, there is no illusion anymore. There is no choice. Venetia Silver, much agreed. Very much agreed. I kind of fell out with the lore in Shadowlands. It started was exciting, but now I kind of don't care about the jailer as the big bad, etc. There's more to the jailer than you might think, Adam. I don't think he is the big bad of the Shadowlands. Not at all. But that's a discussion for a different day. So did I, but I don't give a Shadowlands systems on systems. No, fuck that. Fuck the systems. I still play Shadowlands though, just to be clear. Like I said, I played it last night. My Demon Hunter can now finally do heroic dungeons. So I'm probably going to do some heroic dungeons on the Demon Hunter. Sort of enjoying the Demon Hunter at the minute. Obviously, I'm playing far more Final Fantasy now than what I'm playing fucking World of Warcraft. But that's because I'm trying to do the video for Final Fantasy. Your face evil? Make evil face? Jailer looks like a moody boy. He does, doesn't he? Completely different one that may even conflict the previous one a bit. It's all fun speculation. The Grey, that's the point, right? For all my speculation, I always say I'm not actually predicting the future. I'm not even trying. I'm looking at the lore and I'm sort of going, right, what would be fun? What would be a fun direction for the story to go in, right? And then I focus on that. And if that contradicts a previous theory that I had, then so fucking be it. It's still a fun direction for the story, you know? Do you tank or DPS in your Demon Hunter? I DPS, but I leveled my Demon Hunter solely for Torghast. I was watching... Who was I watching playing Demon Hunter? Someone was playing Demon Hunter. I can't remember who it was. It was on Twitch. Someone was playing Demon Hunter and they were in Torghast and it seemed fun. So I thought, fuck it. I'll level a Demon Hunter and I'll go do some Torghast with my Demon Hunter. The jailer of something. I don't do anything else. I do some dungeons just for gear so that I can do, you know, my Torghast, but I don't do anything else. Honestly think we need an expansion where we basically lose, we don't win, and defeat the big bad's plans. It will be refreshing. So I actually have... It might have been Darker Oak, Luna. It may actually have been Darker Oak. It was one night after a live stream, and I think I hosted her right after the live stream, and I think she was playing her Demon Hunter at the time. So it may have been Darker Oak, actually. From this point of view, are they tossing a loon in to bring people back, or is it going to be the storyline they follow? No, I don't think... So, I don't know where Blizzard is going with the story, and I don't know exactly why they're going with the story the way that they're going with it. My only hope is that they have enough time to finish the story, right, before the end of Shadowlands. Because I'm very afraid that we sort of get another BFA fiasco. I'm very, very saddened. Look, I just want to say, when it comes to Blizzard story writing, I've always said this, Blizzard as story writers suck dick. Blizzard cannot tell a story to save their lives. Look at Diablo. Look at literally every game that Blizzard have ever brought out. They are miserable at writing RPG storylines. Blizzard writes insane macro storylines. So when it comes to world building, so if you look at the world of Diablo, amazing, right? The macro lore of Diablo, absolutely insane. The problem is the RPG isn't there. There's no RPG in Blizzard storytelling. They don't seem to know how to do RPG. World of Warcraft is the same thing. How much of the actual... I'm not just talking about D3, Silver Carbon, I'm talking about all of them. Even if you go back into like Diablo 2, Diablo 3, the stories were amazing, right? The blueprint, actually, terrible presenters, amazing blueprinters. That's the perfect fucking word for it. The blueprints that Blizzard comes up with is insane. They can build a world that just feels so engaging and allows us to speculate. How many games do you guys know about that actually allows for speculation? Like, let's be real. Let's be very honest. How many games out there actually allows for speculators to exist? Holby, thank you for the 1 sub. Did really fucking appreciate the 10 months in a row. Thank you, thank you, thank you. To be fair, I would say Final Fantasy, the problem with Final Fantasy would be a lot of their stories end, right? So they pick up a story. What I'm talking about when I say speculation, right, is very specific. If a story starts and ends, there's literally no speculation that can happen within that story point because it's ended, right? Lots of games do an amazing job at that. That's RPG. Witcher, for example, is an amazing example of an RPG where you have choice, the story plays out, but the story does finish, right? There is an end point to the story. The quests have a natural conclusion to them. So while there's areas that you can sort of speculate on, the whole game is not speculative. Much of the game is done and dusted. It's told, it's over. Now move into something like World of Warcraft. Even with stories that Blizzard have sort of finished, the door always remains open. Blizzard almost never closes a story. So the world is open for speculation at all points in time. I love that, by the way, because, well, it's my job first and foremost, and I enjoy speculating about the story. The problem is that's horrible RPG storytelling. Because in an RPG, there must be an end, so that people know what the end is. You have to be able to take people on a journey, which again, Blizzard struggles to do. Because Blizzard, first and foremost, doesn't tell stories inside the game, right? Most of their stories are told inside the fucking books and the sort of epic cinematics. It's very little of it is told in the game. And even when it is in the game, it's sucky. My best example of sucky storytelling. How many of you remember just after you get to Venari, you're sort of spending time with Venari. Ambalam, thank you very much for this follow. Really fucking appreciate that. Welcome to the channel. Thank you, thank you, thank you. You get to Oribos and one of the other brokers runs up to you and asks you about Venari, right? How many of you remember that? Sort of way in the beginning of Shadowlands. If you cared about player choice, players would have had the option there to tell the broker about Venari, right? You don't even get that choice. The guy asks you about Venari, you then sort of answer him, and then the very next line, it says, you remember Venari telling you not to tell anyone else, and you do not have the ability to say, no, I will tell them about you. You just have to go with whatever Venari told you. So literally there is no player choice. There's no ability for the player to really engulf or engage with the game. To be fair though, you had the ability to join Sylvanas, and then you were sort of told that now that choice is done, even though most of us, most of the loyalists, looked at the conclusion of that and went, but I'm still on her side. That's literally how I felt when I saw the conclusion. I was like, yeah, well, fuck Sourfang. I'm still on your side, Dark Lady. He's like, no, when next you see me, you will understand. No, but can't I just go with you now? No, your choice is over now. You can't follow me anymore. But I sort of feel like I want to. Right? No, you can't. You can't follow me now. I killed Saofang. It was horrible and miserable, and everyone is clearly angry with me now. Yeah, but we're not angry with you. The loyalists couldn't give two shits. In fact, if you gave me the option, I would have killed Saofang. Right? That's the problem with choice in World of Warcraft. There's no real reason to make a choice, because at the end of the day, the choice is always the same. The choice will always end the same. This is why Blizzard, to my mind, are horrible RPG storytellers. They really suck at RPG storytelling.